Good evening. My name is Jamie McMahon. I want to talk tonight a little bit about the Scopes Monkey Trial. I chose the Scopes Monkey Trial as my topic because I live about 45 minutes south of Dayton, Tennessee, and I've actually been there a lot. It's kind of a local history legend in this area to talk about the Scopes Monkey Trial, so I really wanted to look further into it. Looking at the fundamentalist versus modernistic problems that were going on in the early 20th century, our textbook, Mark Noll, talks a lot about that, and pretty much he said that the fundamentalists arose out of the modernist movement, that the modernists, according to a lot of church leaders, they had just gone too far. They had taken things much further than what they want, and the fundamentalists really thought that the United States was losing its Christian heritage, and it was a movement to try to get back the Christian heritage. In the 1920s, they a lot of times even spoke of the United States and called it Babylon. Well, a leading spokesman for this fundamentalist movement was William Jennings Bryan in the 1920s, and in the 1920s he would become even more famous with the famous Scopes Monkey Trial. According to Kevin Lee, in an article he wrote for the Capital University Law Review, entitled Inherit the Myth, How William Jennings Bryan's Struggle with Social Darwinism and Legal Formalization Demythalize the Scopes Monkey Trial. He tells kind of the story of what's going on. Pretty much there was a substitute teacher, John Scopes, who was teaching that evolution was true and that it was not a theory, and he was fined $100 because Tennessee had a law that said you could not do that. It was called the Butler Law, and this went to trial for that in 1925 in Dayton, Tennessee, and became a huge media event because it was the first time that the modernist and fundamentalist really butted heads, and this would be a big time for William Jennings Bryan and the fundamentalists to go and try to keep this law in place that pretty much said if you lived in Tennessee you had to teach that evolution was only a myth. Another story or another place to look for stuff on this was the Encyclopedia of Educational Law. If you look up the Scopes Monkey Trial in that, it gives a very good take on it. Pretty much it was a simple test of anti-evolutionary law. Could that stand up in the state of Tennessee? Could that stand up? Could this Butler Law, was it constitutional? The defense brought a lot of witnesses in to show that evolution was supposedly true, but the judge threw out all of their testimony, and pretty much they pretty much said that this really had little to do with that, whether evolution was true or not. What this was about, did this man break the Butler Law? That anything further than that would have to be handled in another place. When this happened, everybody thought, well, the trial's over, we might as well go home and quit. But then something very extraordinary happened as William Jennings Bryan actually took the stage. Went up and was allowed to be cross-examined by Clarence Darrow. Clarence Darrow tried to show every way in the world that the Bible was false. Jonah and the whale, Joshua making the sun stand still, all of that was brought up. Bryan felt like he failed. He felt like he did not get to really represent Christian America and those fundamentalist beliefs. He was really looking forward to making a closing statement, and then the defense did what nobody thought they were going to do and pretty much just quit and accepted the guilty verdict so that they could go ahead and start an appeal because they realized they had lost this case. He traveled all over Tennessee making speeches, trying to feel like that he got his chance to really defend Christianity, but only 5 days after the trial, he died. Went home one day after church to take a nap and died in his sleep. The newspaper for the New York Times on July 21st, 1925 tells the whole story. Pretty much at the top it says that the fine holds up and that the state wins. And that was really how the Scopes Monkey Trial ended. The judge did determine that the state of Tennessee did have the right to make anti-evolutionary law. Thank you.